Hello, my name is Rachel Reisner from Cats and Hamsters in Montreal, Canada. I'm a certified professional pet sitter, and today I'm going to be talking about cat nail trimming. So, Olaf, my cat, is still napping, so I'm going to start using my stuffed animal, and then hopefully I'm going to lure him to the camera, or I'm just going to have to go get him. So, I've been doing a bunch of Facebook Live videos on cat nail trimming. I think it's a very important part of cat care, but I do understand that particularly for new cat owners, people who have never had pets before, it can be a daunting task, that they're afraid of getting hurt by their cats and then also afraid of hurting their cats. So I thought I would talk a little bit about nail trimming for cats to hopefully help people become more relaxed and to encourage people to trim their cat's nails. So first off, I'm going to talk about the difference between here, using my daughter's boards to illustrate this, is the difference between declawing and nail trimming. So I do offer cat nail trimming and also nail trimming for guinea pigs and rabbits as part of my pet sitting service. I don't charge extra for it currently because I just think it's very important, and if I have time to do it, then I'll do it. But I'm always a bit struck when I encounter clients who refuse to trim their cat's nails. Now, I see primarily indoor cats because just due to policies, I don't see a lot of outdoor cats. And so with indoor cats, they really don't have a lot of ways to wear down their claws themselves. So I'm always kind of intrigued when people are adamantly, no, don't trim the cat's claws, we don't trim the claws, we never trim their claws. And they're very, they feel very strongly about it. So part of this, I suspect, is actually, part of that I suspect is confusion between declawing a cat and trimming a cat's nails. So just to go over that, declawing a cat is actually a surgical procedure. It's permanent, and it's basically removing the first knuckle of their paws so that there's no nail and also no first knuckle. Declawing is actually illegal in a number of Canadian provinces, and it's becoming increasingly discouraged throughout other parts of the world. It is still technically legal in Quebec, however, veterinarians tend to discourage it just because declawing a cat, I mean, it is permanent. If the cat is allowed outside, if the cat escapes outside, then they don't have as many ways to defend themselves because they don't have claws. They can develop behavior problems, like instead of being able to scratch, they may start biting instead, which, hurts just as much. Also, because it's not quite natural for them to walk without those first knuckle of their paws, it can be painful for them, so then they can become more irritable, they can have trouble using litter boxes, and later on in life they can also be more prone to develop arthritis, which can also lead to litter box issues and other issues as well. So I guess you can sense where my leaning is in terms of declawing cats, which is one of the reasons why I like to do these videos on trimming a cat's nails, which is not permanent. Trimming a cat's nails, it's temporary. It's just like clipping a person's nails. You have to do it every couple of weeks. The nail grows back, and no harm, no foul. So just to go over that again, is that declawing a cat is permanent. It's surgical. You have to take the cat to the vet for the vet to anesthetize the cat and surgically remove those. It's not just the claws, it's the first knuckle of the cat. With trimming a cat's nails, nail trimming a cat, use a nail trimmer. You can do it yourself at home. Some people do take their cats to the vet or to groomers to get them to have their nails trimmed. I actually do have some clients that have me come over to their homes specifically to trim the cat's nails. No pet sitting or anything else, just specifically to trim the cat's nails if they don't want to do it themselves, which is totally fine. But just like trimming a person's nails, the nail grows back in a few weeks and then you have to do it all over again. So it's just an inexpensive way and a simple way not way, but a simple part of pet cat maintenance that has to be done, because otherwise the nail is just going to continue to grow. And if the cat is successful in sharpening their claws on a scratching post, the one in the corner over there, or your rug, or your clothes, what happens is that the nail will split, and what's left underneath is super long, super sharp nail that will get caught in not only rugs and carpets, so that the cat may not be able to extricate their paws themselves. They may need help to get their paws untangled, but also will cause more damage to clothing if they're on your lap and they're starting to need you because they're all happy and they're relaxed, but those claws are super long and sharp and they're going to shred your clothing and your skin underneath it. And say if you're holding your cute little fluffy and then a car backfires outside or some loud noise happens and the cat flings himself off of your chest and scratches your chest with those super long sharp claws, it's going to cause a lot more damage. Those super long sharp claws are going to cause much more damage to yourself, to your person, than if those claws were trimmed. And being a cat owner for, I think it's been over 15 years now, and being a professional cat sitter, I can tell you it will do significantly more damage to yourself than if those claws were trimmed. So that's also another reason why I offer nail trimming for cats when I'm pet sitting, because it's really not just for the cat's sake, but also for my sake too, so that, you know, I'm not this like huge damaged person. Because actually I found that because I know to stay far away from say antisocial cats, but it's always the really friendly cats that actually cause more damage, because they're just sort of needing you. They're sitting on your lap and they're needing you, but they don't realize that those claws keep coming out and, you know, scratching you. So those are my views on declawing versus nail trimming, and this video is about nail trimming. So first things first is to get your tools. So I've gone through a number of different nail trimmers, but I think it's very important to get species appropriate nail trimmers. I've seen some clients try to use human nail clippers, but they never work as well. For one thing, human nail clippers usually just aren't sharp enough. People usually get one nail trimmer and then they use it for years or until they lose it. But they're not sharp enough. And also they're just not shaped appropriately for a cat's claw. Now the reason why I talk about having a sharp nail trimmer is because you can definitely see a difference between using a new pair of nail trimmers and using an old pair of nail trimmers. Now I've just recently switched from, I was using these, and then these I think are just a little too dull, so now I'm starting on the new nail trimmers, because I do trim a lot of nails, both with my own cat and also cats, rabbits, and guinea pigs I board and that I pet sit. I go through nail trimmers more frequently than the average pet owner. I usually go through maybe 2 or 3 a year, but the average pet owner who has maybe 2 cats probably will go through a pair of nail trimmers maybe every other year. I've seen some people, they will buy a pair of nail trimmers when they get their new cat, and then they expect those nail trimmers to last for the lifetime of the cat, which could be, you know, 15, 20 years. And this is unrealistic, because what happens when you use an old pair of nail trimmers is that the old pair of nail trimmers will be dull. They'll either mash up the nail, so you'll just get this mess that looks really uncomfortable, and when the cat goes to sharpen their claws on the cat scratching post or the carpet or whatever, it's going to splinter and it's going to be uncomfortable for the cat. You want to have a very clean cut so that it looks like a hot knife cutting through butter. It's going to look that clean. And if you use an old pair of nail trimmers, it's either going to mash it up, like, you know, like a pair of scissors mashing up a French fry, or it's going to splinter it like you're like a piece of dry wood or something. And that's going to be uncomfortable for your cat as well, because it's going to splinter through their nail, and it's going to be like getting a hangnail. It's going to be very uncomfortable for them. So you want to make sure that trimming your cat's nails is going to be effective and also comfortable for your cat. You don't want your cat to be uncomfortable after you trim their nails. You want them to think, okay, this was actually a pretty good thing. You know, so just, I highly recommend getting species appropriate nail trimmers. Keywords that you can look for are small pet nail trimmers. Oftentimes they'll look kind of like scissors like this, or kind of like this, which I kind of think look like hedge trimmers. There's also ones that look kind of like guillotines, and in which it has like a hole, and then the blade goes to the side of the hole, kind of like a guillotine. So some people prefer that as well. And they range in prices. This is probably the least expensive one that I found. It was, I think, $4 or $5 on Amazon. This might even have been an add-on. I always forget it. This was either the Walls, which looks just like the knockoff, or the knockoff, which was basically the same price as the Walls. So I you know, whatever. You can get these from Canadian Tire, Amazon, Walmart, you know, basically any pet store will have nail trimmers like this. And these are probably the least expensive ones. I mean, I talk about pet items that are less expensive because this way you just, if price is something that is of great concern for you, and for who isn't it of great concern, then because you know that you have to replace these when they get dull, just go for the inexpensive ones so that you don't feel as bad. Because say you bought this for like $5 and you have to replace it every 2 years, that's $5 over the course of 2 years, so that's like $2.50 per year, which is not a great amount. So these definitely work. Also these, I like these too. I've gotten this particular model a few times. It's got a little, it's like a guard to try to help you not cut too much nail. I don't use the guard. I just eyeball it. But that might be reassuring for people who aren't used to trimming nails. I think I did get this particular model a while ago when I was first trying to trim my cat's nails, because I just found it reassuring to have a little bit of reassurance there. And also the blade locks so that, I know, say if you have it in a bag or something, or you have children, small children, it's gonna lock so that it's not open and then someone can get their hands caught in it, or like, you know, something fabric snapping in it or something like that. So there are different models. I'd say they range from roughly $4 to $5. I don't think you'd find one that's $4. So let's say about $5 to about, this one I think was roughly $13. And then there are slightly more expensive ones. They're maybe around $25 or so. So we're not talking about huge amounts of money. And actually it's going to be a lot more expensive if you take your cat to the vet or to the groomer to get their nails trimmed than if you just buy nail trimmers yourself. But anyway, I mean, I totally have no problem at all with people taking their pets to the vet and the groomers to get their nails trimmed, as long as the nails are trimmed. Either you do it, somebody else does it, as long as they're trimmed. So get nail trimmers, species appropriate nail trimmers. As you can see with these scissor types, when you close it, it closes into like this circle, which is the perfect size for the cat nail. So you do want to look for cat nail trimmers. I have not used dog nail trimmers, which are usually bigger. I would strongly recommend looking for keywords or things like small pet nail trimmers or cat nail trimmers for cats. In addition to nail trimmers, I also recommend getting stick powder. It often comes in little vials like this, but they also come in like larger containers. But I think the larger containers are really for professional groomers, someone who's going to be trimming like 20 to 30 nails per day. For the average pet owner, I really think this is more than sufficient. So what this is stick powder will instantly stop bleeding if you accidentally cut too far. So how this one works is that it has the stick powder inside, and what it is you tap a little bit onto the cap, and then you dip the cat's claws into the cap, and it will instantly stop the bleeding. Usually I use this as a last resort just because it does sting a little bit. So what I usually do, if I do cut a little bit too far, and it happens to the best of us, then I try to apply pressure first. So I apply pressure to stop the bleeding. And, you know, if after maybe 10 seconds or so, if it's still bleeding, I'll just, you know, keep an eye on it. If it's still bleeding, then I break out the stick-tip powder. And usually I just have it right in my toolkit with my grooming tools. Don't have it in another room, like with your first aid kit and things. When you take out your nail trimmers, you should also take out the stick-tip powder so that if you do accidentally have a little bit of bleeding, you can just immediately reach over and get it. Because if your cat's bleeding, you don't want to have to search around the house. Where is it? You have no idea where it is. You know, just have everything with you when you're getting ready to trim your cat's claws. If you don't have stick-tip powder, maybe if it's hard to find for you, or you just don't want to get it, maybe you're a minimalist or, you know, whatever, then you can also try using flour or cornstarch, which I've heard also helps, you know, stop the bleeding. I've also heard that ice helps to stop the bleeding, but I've tried ice and it hasn't worked for me. I think stick-tip powder works really well. It's not that expensive either. It's, you know, I can't remember how much this was. I'm thinking roughly about $6 or $7. Might have been a little bit more. So it's not like we're not talking big bucks here. $5, $6, it's $11 for 2 years. And these like last forever. So just get some stick-tip powder and some small nail trimmers and you'll be safe. And then also I like to have, after I've trimmed a cat's claws, sometimes I also like to brush them because I have them right there in my hands. And also some cats will stress shed a little bit. So this also helps to just get some of the extra excess fur off. Because, yeah. This one I got, this is a de-shedding rake. It's one of my favorites from JW. And it's just a comb with like some longer parts. I guess I'll get it before I forget. Some longer teeth and some shorter teeth. And it just helps to grab the undercoat because my cat Olaf is a long-haired cat. And so sometimes, particularly during shedding season, although he actually doesn't shed all that much, it does help to grab a little bit more of the fur. But, you know, whatever you got there too. So, let's see if I can summon Olaf. Olaf, come here. Come here. Oh, I hear him. I hear him. He's coming. Come here, sweetie. Come here. Anyway, so what you want to do? Olaf, come here. You're a good cat. All right. So the thing about nail trimming with cats, so you want to make sure that it's not like a really traumatic process for you. Good boy. Who's a good boy? Okay, so he came, so then I have to reward him that, you know, so he knows that. Okay, this is just some of his cat food. I don't usually give him treats actually, because he sometimes they upset his stomach. Sometimes I do. So maybe afterwards, if he's a good boy, then he'll get some treats as well. Okay, so the thing about with nail trimming your cats is that you want to be relaxed and you want your cat to be relaxed too. So I'm relaxed, Olaf is relaxed because he's my cat and we know each other really well. What you would do is when you get a new cat, you just want to touch the paws all the time. First, that's all you have to do. It's just get your cat used to having you holding and touching all of his paws. So see, he's relaxed, I'm relaxed, I'm not doing anything, I'm just playing with his paws. And also what you can do is you can also press down and you can extend his claws so you can take a look at them, keep an eye on them. And yeah, so they look good. Yeah, so that's what I would recommend doing first when you get a new cat. Especially if your cat isn't used to having their claws trimmed or if you're starting to get used to your cat. That way, it's a good way of just having no pressure and getting to know each other, bonding, so that the cat knows, you know what, it's not a big deal to have my paws touched. And then what you do is you break out your nail trimmers and your stick-tip powder nearby, just in case. And then what you do is you extend the claws. I don't know if you can see this. You extend the claws, and then all you're going to do is cut off the basically just like a millimeter or two, depending on how long. His claws actually aren't that long, because I just did them a couple of weeks ago. All you're doing is you're cutting off just a millimeter. You're not cutting off a huge amount of claw, because when you look down at your cat's claws, you'll see the cat's claws are pointed, and inside of those, like the sort of translucent triangles of their claws, are these pink part, and that's the blood vessel, or I think it's the vessel. That's where the blood is. It's called the, I always forget this, but the quick. I'm pretty sure it's the quick. And you don't want to cut the quick, because that's where the blood comes from. And that's why we have the 6 pounder, just in case. I often get clients who ask me to cut the cat's nails as short as possible, and I basically can do what I'm doing now is just the very tips. Sometimes, so it's just, I don't think if you can even see, it's like the even smaller, like half of a grain of rice. It's really small. I've had some times, and I have no idea how they do this, when my cats have come back from having procedure done at the veterinarian's office, they come up with very, very short claws. I have no idea how the vet's office does this. Either maybe they just cut off even the quick, and that's their policy or something to protect themselves. As I can only imagine what it's like working in a vet's office with all different types of cats. I don't know, they have superhuman powers or something. Maybe I'll learn how they do that someday. But all you're doing is just cutting off the very, very tip. See how Olaf is used to having this done. He's not super excited about it, but he's used to having it done, so he'll just bear with me. And so he's used to having it done, so I'm able to do all of his claws, but there's no shame at all in just doing like 2 claws, and then you're done for the day, and then the next day you do 2 more, and that's totally fine, as long as you keep track of the claws that still need to be trimmed. Okay, so I did all of his claws. See, it didn't take any time at all, because we're used to doing this, got everything down. Then I'm gonna brush him just a little bit, although he doesn't actually like being brushed, so okay, that's fine. Do you wanna do a little bit more? I feel like I have to reward good behavior. But anyway, so after you trim your cat's claws, then you can have some sort of positive reinforcement by playing with them, or giving them some treats. Although, actually, I found that most cats that I trim claws of which I've trimmed over, they actually aren't that interested in playing afterwards. They're kind of just, they're like, okay. And then maybe a few minutes later they might play, but not usually immediately after. You would think that they would have some like pent up energy there to work out, but that's not usually what I find. Usually if the cat does get treats, then I'll give them treats for being such a good cat. So that way they know that the nail trimming's done, and you know, that's it. So I do have these in my cat bag, and I'm pet sitting these treats, or we can play with a peacock feather, or you know, a laser pointer for a couple seconds. I did want to mention before I forget is so going back to why we trim a cat's nails is that the cat's nails aren't, they're not able to trim their own nails. Even if they do sharpen their claws on like a rug or the cat scratching post, the nail is still long and sharp. And also a lot of cats actually aren't so great at, aren't able to slough off the old nail, so that the nail just keeps growing and growing and growing. And what will happen is that it'll grow long, and it's curved, and it'll grow and grow and grow until it grows into the soft pad of the paw. And what happens then, and I've seen it twice with clients, is that then you literally do have to take the cat to the veterinarian. First of all, to have the overgrown, ingrown claw trimmed, And then the claw might have embedded and pierced the soft pad, and that needs to be cleaned, disinfected, and then possibly bandaged, and then the cat may have to use special litter for a while until that wound is healed, possibly with antibiotics as well. So it's a serious thing. I mean, trimming, getting say $11 to $30 worth of equipment, 2 times, well, once every 2 years, versus having like over $100 or more to fix your cat that's in pain with the overgrown nail. I've had some clients say, but they're used to it, it's okay, you know, when they see, I point out that the nail is overgrown, but actually that cat is in pain. So, okay, they're used to being in pain. So you're saying that it's totally okay that the cat is in pain. And when the cat is in pain with their paw, if the cat's paw is in pain, they may walk funny, they may not be able to exercise properly, so they become overweight, they may become more irritable because they're in pain, and also they may have litter box issues, which nobody likes. So I strongly, strongly, highly recommend, and I just hope that these videos do help to encourage people to just experiment with and get more comfortable with trimming their cat's nails, because it's just much easier to trim your cat's claws and maintain those claws every several weeks, maybe say every 3 weeks or so, maybe even every 4 weeks, depending on how quickly your cat's claws grow, versus taking your cat to the vet and having to deal with all of that pain and things and expenses that was easily preventable that you can do yourself. So definitely ingrown cat's claws, I mean, it's a real thing, definitely, particularly with cats who have multiple claws on their paws. Generally, cats have 5 claws on their front paws and 4 claws on their back claws, but some cats have more. Like, for example, my late cat Ethel had 6 claws on all of her paws, so I had to make very carefully sure that they were all trimmed, particularly